most disrespected person in America is the black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the black woman. The most neglected person in America is the black woman.
For my two specimens, I have chosen the Afro hairstyle in Beyoncé's Lemonade visual album. Though the Afro hairstyle is a 3D specimen and the Lemonade visual album is a 4D specimen, they both evoke black female empowerment. In order to understand the Afro hairstyle and what makes it a symbol of rebellion, pride, and empowerment, we need to understand the history behind black hair. Society's beauty standards have always been very Eurocentric, which is one of the reasons Afros have been such a powerful symbol to the black community. In order to understand why the Afro hairstyle isn't just a hairstyle, we need to go back into the history of black hair. Alvise Cadamosto made 2 trips to Africa. In his journal, he would write this about people in West Africa. Both sexes go barefooted and have no coverings to their heads, and weaves and tie their hair, though short, into neat tresses. He described West Africans' hair in a positive manner. This was because during that time transatlantic enslavement wasn't a thing yet. Slavery was a big contribution to the negative stigma behind black hair. During slavery, the hair of black people was compared to animal hair. This was a tactic used to dehumanize and exploit them. In 1865, slavery was abolished, but there was still a stigma around black hair. In 1909, Garrett Morgan created the first hair relaxer. These products were marketed with an emphasis on beauty and success. This conditioned people to believe that their black hair wasn't beautiful and that it was inferior. In the 1960s, black hair and the Afro hairstyle became popular due to the civil rights movement and the Black Power movement. This is when the Afro hairstyle became an index for disruption of European beauty standards. Black Americans started to embrace their natural hair.
Don't be ashamed of your heritage. Don't be ashamed of your color. Don't be ashamed of your hair. I am black and beautiful and not ashamed to say it.
You might be wondering by now how the Afro hairstyle and Beyoncé's Lemonade visual album are similar. Just like the Afro hairstyle, we need to go back into history so we can better understand the historical references that Beyoncé has added to her visual album. European colonization had a hand in the demise of indigenous African religions. The Europeans believed that African customs were barbaric and deemed them a culture that could not be salvaged. Christian missionaries delegitimized indigenous religions by associating them with the Christian devil. Some ministers were skeptical and thought African slaves didn't have the moral capacity for Christianity. So the theology of slavery was created. This would aid with the Institute of Slavery. Though slaves were converted to Christianity, this did not humanize them in the eyes of the colonizers. It just made them more useful as slaves. Christianity made them not rebellious, but diligent and loyal. In the first scene, we see Beyoncé submerged in water. We see iconographies of Christianity like the Bible and a cross. At one point, there are 2 versions of Beyoncé. One represents the Western Christian self, which disappears as the other awakens. Beyoncé has now become Yoruba goddess Oshun, a pre-colonial African goddess. Oshun is represented by the yellow dress. She is associated with water, purity, fertility, and love. This is a symbol of dismantling borders of appropriation that come from Christian doctrine of salvation. In this video, she is connecting to her roots to find true salvation and her true self. Throughout the video, we see a sisterhood of black women dressed in various attires, whether it's a 19th century attire or Nigerian body art known as the sacred art of Ori. Each one of these scenes shows some type of representation of black women. Though this album is based on infidelity in her marriage, it is also linked to the neglect of black women in America. It is also used to give voice to the dead who have been killed due to police brutality. Overall, this visual album is an index of race issues and gender. It is a reminder to black women to take back their power.